My name is Julia Carter. I am 35 years old, and I thought I had finally built a stable life for my daughter, Emma. But the world has a cruel way of stopping cold when you least expect it. That day, sitting in the cramped HR office, it felt like my ears filled with cotton. I could hear nothing but my own heartbeat pounding as Monica from HR slid paper across her neat little IKEA desk. I stared at it like the numbers might magically rearrange themselves. A 60% pay cut. Effective immediately. From $128,000 to barely $51,000. My face didn't crumble, not in front of her. I smiled, actually smiled, and said, "I'll need 24 hours to consider this offer." Like some kind of robot. Like I hadn't just been gutted alive. The tears came later, in the parking garage. I sat in my old Honda with the engine off, ugly sobs racking my chest, mascara streaking down my cheeks until my reflection in the mirror looked unrecognizable. For 45 minutes, I couldn't breathe. I wasn't just crying about money. I was crying because 9 years of loyalty had been shredded in a single sheet of paper. They knew me. They knew I was a single mom. They knew about Emma's medical bills and our mortgage. And still, this wasn't a negotiation. It was an execution. I had given this company nearly a decade of my life, and now I was disposable. When I first joined Pulsewave Technologies, it wasn't about money. It was about belief. 20 people crammed into a converted warehouse, working long nights and weekends, eating cold pizza at midnight, all convinced we were building something that mattered. I started as a junior client manager, but I quickly became the one people trusted when the biggest accounts were on the line. I missed birthdays, vacations, even Emma's kindergarten recital, because Pulsewave needed me. And I thought it was worth it. By year 3, I was managing accounts that brought in 70% of our company's revenue. I remembered every client's kid's name, their anniversaries, even their favorite restaurants. They weren't just accounts, they were relationships. By year 5, I was promoted to Director of Client Solutions. I had a team of 8 under me, stock options that made me feel secure, and a salary that finally let me breathe. For the first time since Emma's father walked out, I wasn't juggling bills. We could afford her asthma medications without choosing between heat and food. I even dared to believe I had a future. Then came the day we all applauded like fools. Titan Global Systems, a faceless corporation with too much money, swooped in and bought us out. Alan Royce, our founder, stood on stage talking about an exciting new chapter. But I noticed he couldn't look us in the eye. Later I learned why. He walked away with $4 million. The rest of us? Our stock options became scraps, stretched out another 4 years. At first, Titan Global's presence wasn't unbearable. New email signatures, more red tape, more useless meetings, but nothing catastrophic. We still had our team, our clients, our momentum. I kept working, believing I was indispensable. But then came the redundancy assessments. First, junior staff disappeared, then middle managers. Each time, an email went out about streamlining operations and leveraging synergies. By the end of a year, my team of 8 had shrunk to 3 exhausted survivors. The work didn't shrink with it. If anything, it doubled. I was answering emails at 2 a.m., having panic attacks in the bathroom before client calls, and Emma began asking why I always looked so tired, why I missed her soccer games. I told myself it would stabilize. I told myself they needed me too much to let me go. I was wrong. The summons came in a bland calendar invite from Monica in HR. Quick touch base, 2:30 p.m. I should have known then. I should have felt the trap closing. But instead, I grabbed my notebook thinking it was another compliance update or performance review. When I walked in, Monica wasn't alone. Brad Whitman was there too. his Rolex glinting as he scrolled on his phone. Titan had sent him to optimize the acquisition. Brad smiled, but it was the kind of smile that meant nothing good. "Julia, we've been reviewing the org structure," he said, dragging out each word. "We feel there's an opportunity to realign your compensation with market standards." Monica slid the paper across the desk like it was a death warrant. $51,200. From $128,000. "This reflects the changing nature of your role," Brad said, like he was doing me a favor. "We're centralizing client management at headquarters. You'll transition to a regional support position." In plain English, they were stripping me of my authority, my clients, and most of my paycheck, but wanted me to keep doing all the work. "We'll need your decision by tomorrow," Monica added without mating my eyes. And then Brad Whitman delivered the knife twist. "If this new arrangement doesn't work, we'll begin searching for someone who aligns better with our new structure." Translation? Someone cheaper. Someone desperate. They knew I had Emma. They knew I couldn't afford to walk away. They thought they had me cornered. I walked out of that room, hollow, like I was watching myself from outside my body. I don't remember the elevator ride or the way my hand shook as I packed my laptop. I only remember sitting in my car, staring at the steering wheel, wondering how I was supposed to tell my daughter that we might lose our home. That's when my phone rang. It was Naomi Park, my old colleague who had left PulseWave 6 months earlier. I almost didn't answer, but something in me reached for hope. "Hey, stranger," she said. "I've been trying to reach you all week. Have you checked your LinkedIn messages?" I hadn't. I'd been too busy drowning. Naomi didn't waste time. "Julia, I'm at Vertex Solutions now. Titan's biggest competitor. My boss has been asking about you. Would you be open to a conversation?" For a long moment, I couldn't speak. I looked at the glass tower of Titan Global through my windshield, the logo gleaming like a warning. Brad Whitman's smirk, Monica's silence, Alan Royce's beach house payoff, they all flashed through my mind. I thought about the 9 years I had given them, about how disposable they had made me. "Actually," I said, my voice steadier than I felt, "tonight would be perfect." Naomi exhaled with relief. "Great. I'll text Daniel Holt, Vertex's CEO. He's been waiting for this call for a long time." 20 minutes later, my phone buzzed again. A deep, confident voice introduced itself. "Julia, this is Daniel Holt. Naomi tells me we should meet. How's 7:30 tomorrow morning?" That night, I didn't sleep. I sat on the couch, staring at nothing, Emma's soft breathing drifting from her bedroom down the hall. Was I really going to do this? Was I really going to cross the line to the competition? Then I remembered. There was no line anymore. Titan had erased it when they decided I was nothing but a cost to cut. The next morning, I dressed like I was going to war. My best suit, perfect hair, flawless makeup. Armor. I dropped Emma at school, hugged her tighter than usual, and promised I loved her. At 7:30 sharp, I walked into Westside Cafe, the quiet hum of laptops and espresso machines in the air. Daniel Holt was waiting. Tall, silver at the temples, casual but sharp. Naomi waved me over. He stood, smiled, and said, "Julia Carter, we've been waiting for you." Daniel Holt shook my hand firmly, his eyes sharp but kind. "Naomi tells me you've been carrying PulseWave on your back for years," he said. "Why don't you tell me what's really happening over there?" So I did. All of it. The acquisition, the culture shift, the impossible hours, the 60% pay cut that had gutted me just yesterday. Daniel listened without interrupting, his hands folded on the table, his coffee untouched. When I finished, he leaned back and said, Julia, we've tried to recruit you 3 times. Each time, your loyalty to Pulsewave kept you there. But Titan doesn't deserve that loyalty. We're prepared to make you an offer that reflects your true worth. My pulse quickened. He slid a folder across the table. Inside was an offer letter. Director of Strategic Partnerships at Vertex Solutions. $165,000 base salary. 25% bonus potential. Full health benefits that would finally cover Emma's asthma treatments without draining my savings. Stock options. And a signing bonus if I could start within 2 weeks. I stared at the number. It was nearly 3 times what Titan was offering me. My throat went dry. I asked, "Why? Why this much?" Daniel didn't hesitate. Because clients trust you. Because we've lost contracts to Pulsewave that you managed. Because your retention rate is 94% when the industry average is 71%. You're not just an employee, Julia. You're an advantage. And Titan is too blind to see it. Something shifted inside me then. Something I hadn't felt in years. Recognition. For so long, I had worked twice as hard for half the credit. Smiling through meetings where men repeated my ideas louder and got praised. Pretending I was okay while my career consumed every piece of me. And here, finally, was someone who saw my worth. Naomi leaned in. There's one more thing you need to know. Titan is planning to offshore all client services in the next 8 months. The pay cuts are just their way of pushing people out without paying severance. My stomach dropped. 8 months? They hadn't just cut my salary. They were planning to erase my entire job. And they wanted me to train my replacement first. I thought of Emma's face, her inhaler on the nightstand, the mortgage payment on the kitchen counter. This wasn't just about pride anymore. It was about survival. I looked Daniel in the eye and said, "I need to pick up my daughter at 3, but after that, I'll come see your office. I want to meet your team before I make a final decision." Daniel smiled. "Fair, but Julia, make no mistake. We want you." For the first time in months, maybe years, I felt calm. Titan had already discarded me. There was nothing left to lose. The only question now was how to walk away and how to make sure they realized just how badly they had underestimated me. 3 hours later, I walked back into Titan's regional office with Daniel's offer letter tucked inside my bag. Brad Whitman was waiting in the conference room, looking impatient. Monica sat beside him with another neat folder labeled with my name. Brad didn't even stand. He asked, "Have you made your decision?" I smiled. "Calm now. I have some questions first," I said. "Who will be handling the Westfield implementation next month and the Alder contract renewal in June?" Brad waved a hand. "We'll reassign appropriately. That's not your concern." I leaned forward. "Actually, it is, because Somia at Westfield and Mark at Alder both asked for me personally, and if you're planning to cut me out, they deserve to know." The color drained from his face. Brad's jaw tightened. "Julia, client assignments aren't yours to worry about," he snapped, shifting in his seat. Monica looked anywhere but at me. I held my gaze steady, the offer letter from Vertex burning like a secret weapon in my bag. "Actually," I said slowly, "they are, because Westfield's contract stipulates they can request specific account managers. Same with Alder. If you're planning to move them, you'll need their approval." I wasn't bluffing. I'd negotiated those clauses myself, and judging by Brad's silence, he knew it. I leaned forward. "Naomi tells me Titan is planning to offshore client services in less than a year. Is that true?" The words landed like a thunderclap. Monica flinched. Brad's eyes flickered, the mask slipping for just a second before he recovered. "That's internal strategy," he said coldly. "Not something you need to concern yourself with." That was all the confirmation I needed. They had planned to gut us all along. They weren't just taking my salary. They were planning to erase my job and toss me aside when it was convenient. I reached into my bag and placed an envelope on the table. I said, "Then I guess this will make things simpler." Brad frowned as he tore it open. His face went red as he read the single sentence. Effective immediately, I resign from Titan Global Systems. Naomi's eyes widened. "Julia, think about your benefits, your severance." I cut her off. "You cut my pay by more than half. You eliminated my position without the decency to admit it. Severance was never on the table, but my dignity still is." Brad stood, trying to regain control. "You can't just walk out in the middle of projects. You're under contract to transition your accounts." I smiled, slow and deliberate. "Actually, no. My contract ended with PulseWave. Titan never issued new ones. Legally, you have no binding authority over me." The silence that followed was delicious. Naomi's face drained of color. Brad's smirk was gone, replaced with something raw. Panic. I stood, smoothed my blazer, and added one last knife twist. "You should probably call Alder and Westfield. By now, they already know where I'll be working next." I didn't wait for their reply. I gathered my things, walked past the cubicles, and out the glass doors for the last time. Each step felt lighter, like chains snapping free. No more fake smiles, no more manipulation, no more being disposable. As I stepped into the sunlight, I pulled out my phone. A new email notification blinked on the screen. Subject line, "Welcome to Vertex Solutions." Attached was the formal onboarding package. I smiled, inhaled deeply, and whispered to myself, "They'll never see me coming." The next morning, I walked into Vertex Solutions headquarters with Emma's drawing tucked into my planner, a crayon heart with "Mommy, you're the best" scrawled across it. It was my reminder that everything I was doing, every risk I was taking, was for her. The office was sleek, humming with quiet energy. People moved with purpose, but not panic. Collaboration instead of chaos. Naomi greeted me with a grin. "Welcome to freedom," she said, handing me a badge with my name, Julia Carter, Director. For the first time in years, I felt like I belonged. Daniel introduced me to my new team, 6 sharp, motivated professionals who actually looked excited to be there. They asked about my experience, not with suspicion, but with respect. It felt strange, almost disarming, to be listened to instead of dismissed. In the afternoon, Daniel closed the door to his office and laid out Vertex's immediate strategy. Titan is vulnerable. They're slashing costs, outsourcing, and alienating clients. If we move fast, we can scoop up their contracts. But Julia, we need you to lead that charge. You know their playbook better than anyone. My heart raced. My revenge had just found its battlefield. My first assignment was surgical. Reach out to Alder, one of PulseWave's oldest clients, and one of the first to doubt Titan's leadership. I drafted the email carefully. Warm, professional, but firm. I reminded them of our years together, how much I valued their business, and hinted at the storm brewing inside Titan. Within hours, Alder's VP replied, "Julia, we've been worried ever since the acquisition. Let's meet to discuss alternatives." That was all I needed. One crack in Titan's foundation, and I was ready to widen it. Naomi stopped by my office that evening with a stack of files. "These," she whispered, "are accounts PulseWave struggled with right before Titan took over. They're unhappy, they're restless, and they trust you." I flipped through the names. Half of them had my handwritten notes still in the margins. This isn't just a transfer. It's a rescue mission. These clients don't want to be abandoned. You give them stability, Titan loses everything. I realized then I wasn't just leaving Titan, I was dismantling it, brick by brick, with every client I brought into Vertex's fold. By the end of the week, Alder had signed with Vertex. The ink wasn't even dry before Daniel called an emergency leadership meeting. "This," he said, holding up the signed contract, "is just the beginning. Titan has no idea what's coming." I sat at the long glass table, my team around me, and allowed myself a rare smile. For years, I had been the woman in the corner, overlooked, underpaid, expendable. Now, I was the weapon in plain sight. Titan thought they had stripped me of everything, but they had only handed me the tools to destroy them. 2 days after Alder's switch, my phone buzzed with a text from Monica. "Julia, what are you doing? Brad is furious. Clients are demanding answers." I almost laughed. For years, they dismissed me. Now, they couldn't ignore me. Titan had underestimated the very person they thought they could discard like trash. That night, Emma sat cross-legged on the couch, coloring. She looked up and asked, "Mom, are the mean people at your old job still bothering you?" I hugged her tight. "No, sweetheart," I whispered. "They're not bothering me anymore. Now it's my turn." Her innocence steadied me. I wasn't just fighting for revenge. I was fighting to show her what strength looked like. Westfield's director called me out of the blue. "Julia, Brad's been pushing aggressive new terms. We don't like them. Can we talk?" My pulse quickened. Another Titan pillar ready to crack. I set up a lunch meeting, smiling as I hung up. Every client Titan mistreated was another piece of kindling for the fire I was building. Naomi slipped me an email forwarded from a friend still inside Titan. Brad had written, "Keep clients quiet at all costs. Carter is targeting them. Shut this down or else." The fact he put it in writing was a gift. Evidence of their desperation, their fear. Titan wasn't protecting their clients. They were circling the wagons, ready to implode. Westfield's VP met me in a quiet cafe. He leaned across the table and whispered, "Julia, Titan doesn't respect us, but you always did. If we move, will Vertex give us stability?" I didn't hesitate. "Yes, more than that. You'll have my personal commitment." By the time dessert arrived, Westfield had all but made their decision. Another domino ready to fall. That evening, my phone rang. Brad. I almost let it go to voicemail, but curiosity got the better of me. "Julia," he barked, "we know what you're doing. You think you can play hero at Vertex? You're nothing without Titan." I let the silence stretch before answering. "Funny, Brad. Titan seems to be the one bleeding without me." Then I hung up. His anger was music. Daniel pulled me into his office the next morning, a glint in his eyes. A journalist reached out. "They've caught wind of Titan's layoffs and client unrest. If this story breaks, we can position Vertex as the safe haven." I nodded. Titan's dirty laundry in public would only accelerate their collapse. For years, they controlled the narrative. Now the truth was about to surface. That night, sleep wouldn't come. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, Emma's soft breathing in the next room. A small part of me wondered, was I going too far? But then I remembered Brad's smug smile, the HR meeting where they slashed my pay, the way Monica wouldn't even look at me. No, this wasn't just revenge, this was justice. By Friday morning, Westfield signed their contract with Vertex. 2 of Titan's cornerstone clients gone in a week. Naomi brought coffee into my office and whispered, "Julia, you're dismantling them piece by piece." I looked down at the papers, adrenaline surging. This wasn't luck, it was precision. Titan had forged the weapon, and now I was wielding it. Inside Titan's glass towers, chaos reigned. Emails leaked of Brad yelling in meetings, Monica crying in HR. A contact inside told Naomi, "The board is questioning Brad's leadership. They're demanding answers about the losses." For the first time in years, Titan wasn't untouchable. They were fragile, breakable, and I was the one delivering the cracks straight to their core. By Monday morning, the news had spread. 2 more Titan clients expressed doubts over the new management. Emails poured in, forwarded from executives panicking over retention numbers. I sat in my Vertex office, sipping coffee, a small smile playing on my lips. Titan had no idea how badly they underestimated the very people they thought disposable. Inside Titan, Monica's team was fraying. Employees whispered about pay cuts, layoffs, and the instability creeping through the leadership. Naomi's insider updates were invaluable. Every email, every panic-filled Slack message was another tool in my arsenal. The company culture that once suffocated me was now eating itself alive. They created the storm, and I was steering it with precision. At Vertex, my team was thriving. Alder, Westfield, and two other major clients were already transitioning smoothly. Each success was a reminder of what fair leadership and respect could achieve. During our weekly team meeting, Daniel looked at me and said, "Julia, you've done more in a month than most achieve in a year. Titan has no idea what's coming." I nodded, feeling the satisfaction of turning my anger into action. Brad finally called me directly. His tone was sharp, threatening. "Julia, if you continue to interfere with our clients, Titan will pursue legal action. Don't push your luck." I let the silence stretch, enjoying the discomfort. "Brad," I said calmly, "I'm not interfering. I'm providing the stability Titan refuses to. Clients make their own decisions. You should ask yourself why they trust me over you." By midweek, rumors of Titan's instability reached industry media. A tech journalist contacted Vertex for comment. I reviewed our statement with Daniel. Clear, professional, emphasizing our commitment to clients. As we hit send, I felt a surge of vindication. Titan's walls were crumbling, and I wasn't just observing. I was leading the change. The company that once dismissed me as expendable was now vulnerable and exposed. By Monday, 3 more of Titan's top clients had requested meetings with Vertex. Each call, each email reinforced the pattern. Titan's reputation was crumbling. I sat at my desk, reviewing contracts and transition notes, amazed at how quickly the dominoes were falling. Titan's neglect had handed me the advantage, and I intended to use every piece of it. Inside Titan, Brad was scrambling. Emails leaked of board discussions questioning his competence. Monica's HR team was under siege from employees threatening to quit over pay cuts and instability. Naomi's updates kept me informed in real time. Every panic-stricken memo from Titan was a confirmation they had miscalculated the value of people, and I was proving it every day. At Vertex, the team celebrated another successful client transition. Alder and Westfield were fully onboarded, and 2 additional accounts had agreed to move after seeing our commitment to service. Daniel clapped me on the shoulder. "Julia, this is beyond expectation. You're building a reputation. Titan doesn't stand a chance if you keep this pace." I allowed myself a small, triumphant smile. Brad called again, his tone sharper. "Julia, this is your final warning. Stop contacting our clients, or Titan will take legal action. You're crossing a line." I leaned back in my chair, unfazed. "Brad, I'm not contacting anyone. I'm honoring existing relationships. Maybe you should ask why your clients are leaving you instead of threatening the messenger." Silence, on the other end, confirmed my words hit home. A tech journalist published an article about Titan's ongoing turmoil, layoffs, offshoring plans, and client dissatisfaction. The story cited anonymous sources and highlighted Vertex as a stable alternative. I read it in my office, a quiet smile forming. Titan's carefully maintained image was unraveling, and I wasn't just watching. I was leading the tide. The company that once dismissed me as expendable was now vulnerable and exposed. By Monday, Titan's internal chaos reached a breaking point. Executives were resigning, employees were quitting en masse, and clients were pulling contracts faster than Titan could react. I sat in my Vertex office, watching the news alerts pop up one after another. The company that tried to crush me was now crumbling under the weight of its own mismanagement. Gerald, the CEO of Titan, called me personally, voice strained. "Julia, we underestimated you. We need to talk about the clients and future cooperation." I listened calmly, knowing I had all the leverage. "Gerald, I've already secured the clients who trust me. What you do now is on your own. Respect and fair treatment are non-negotiable. By the end of the month, Vertex had onboarded half of Titan's top accounts. My team grew to 22, all motivated and respected, thriving under leadership that valued their contributions. I walked through the office smiling at my team, feeling the satisfaction of building something better, not just for me, but for everyone who deserved to be treated fairly. At home, I hugged Emma tight and whispered, "We did it, kiddo. No more stress, no more uncertainty. We're safe now." I had fought for my worth, reclaimed my dignity, and secured a future for both of us. The fear, the stress, and the betrayal were behind me. I had turned pain into power. Years later, I often think back to that HR meeting, the paper sliding across the desk, and the moment they thought they had all the power. The real victory wasn't just taking clients or money, it was discovering my own value, standing up, and building something better. For anyone watching this, remember, your worth isn't determined by those who fail to see it. Sometimes the best revenge is simply walking away and thriving.